Thank you, Beth. And thank you all for making the trip. Oh, I better not put it there. I'm going to begin by reassuring you all that perhaps some of you don't do this very often, that as Billy Collins once reassured a wary audience, that the poetry reading is a finite experience, so that you can think about that a little bit as we get into it. I'm going to read a poem that, to begin, that is, I think, a kind of invocation, but I think it's also, for me, a kind of affirmation, and in a setting like this, maybe even a kind of admonition. It's called Before Reading. May the one who is snow squall, river mist, stone on stone, who made the moon and is the moon, toward which all leaf smoke rises tonight, whose palm-sized, covered with feathers, winters for weeks at our feeder, who's the single ring of the bell, who's the bell, who listens always deep in the blood. May this one be the one who gives voice. So that's as much for me as it is for you all. This next one, there's not much that you really need to know about it, except there's a mention of a poet, a German poet by the name of Rilke, known for his mystical and love poems. It goes like this. I first realized I was sharing an office with a mouse on a pitch-dark November morning. Flipping on the lights, I scared the bejesus out of both of us, which goes to show what I've always thought about myself. A tad slow on the uptake. I mean, looking back on it, there were clues all over the place. For one thing, the scatological evidence left on the window ledge and around the edges of my desk should have tipped me off. For another, newspapers and tissues chewed to bits. Somehow his fitful research style never registered with me. And one Monday morning, my radio was switched to a country music station. It's been a month now, and I've begun to notice a greater boldness in him. Or maybe it was there all along, I can't say. I suspect my office mate is taking company stationery to renovate a place for himself and the missus, though I've yet to see a sketch. He keeps his plans as hidden as himself. If I thought he'd really read my note before shredding it to pad his quilt, I'd suggest he warm his milk tonight and sip it in silk pajamas or a tartan kilt, and to assuage any lingering guilt he might have, lilt a little Rilke before bed. Indeed, Ezra, as I've taken to calling him, should be whistling his blessings these days. Merton, our tabby mouser, took off for the fields beyond the parking lot and hasn't been seen since. And I'm beginning to think the old saying is true. Where there's one of them, there's always more than two. In my sleep I have seen them, a dozen or more on a side, tiny boots, cowboy hats, kerchiefs around the throat, line dancing over my drafting board late on a Saturday night. And since it is Saturday, I'll read this one, which has a bit of a different focus, and it's called Saturday. It's my daughter's night to man the hotline. Right next to her, along with the cordless phone, she keeps a red notebook which contains a domestic violence flowchart to coach her when somebody's husband shows up drunk, say, and in violation of a judge's order. Are you safe? Are you in immediate physical danger? My daughter stays awake past midnight, then takes the red notebook and the phone upstairs and into bed with her. My daughter is amazing. She is not outraged by all men.